Hey, Bill O'Leary coming to you this Thursday, coming to you live as part of our Thirsty Thursday series, where I talk about a different topic that comes to mind in what I do. I'm an estate planning and elder law and probate attorney. And so we call this series our Thirsty Thursday series because if you're thirsting for knowledge, you've come to the right place. So today's topic, I thought in light of sort of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial and saga, to talk about prenuptial agreements. Who needs it and how do I make one? So what if Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had a prenup agreement? You know, we all learned the gritty details in that recently concluded court battle between both of them and the unfortunate airing of the sort of the dirty laundry that could have been avoided with a prenup. So should you think about getting one yourself? So first of all, what is a prenup? Let's define it. It's a written contract that's created by two people before they are married. And it typically lists all of the property that each person owns, as well as maybe any debts, and it specifies what each person's property rights are, what they'll be after the marriage commences. Sometimes a prenup is also known as sort of a premarital agreement, or sometimes contract is inserted, so it may be a premarital contract or whatnot. And by the way, if one's not entered into before marriage, something similar can be done after you get married called a postnuptial agreement. So who needs a prenup? Well, contrary, I think, to popular opinion, prenups are not just for the rich. While prenups are a lot of times used to protect assets of, let's say, a wealthy fiance, couples even of more modest means are increasingly turning to prenups for their own specific reasons or purposes. So here are some reasons that people may have to want a prenup. Number one, to be able to pass separate property and assets to children from a prior marriage. So a couple that is going to be entering marriage, but they have children from a prior marriage, they may use a prenup, you see, to spell out sort of what will happen to their property and assets when they die, so that they can pass on their separate assets to their children from the prior marriage and still provide for each other as well. And so without a prenup in that scenario, a surviving spouse might have a right to make a claim to a large portion of the deceased spouse's estate, leaving much less for the children from the prior marriage. Another reason is to sort of clarify financial rights. So couples with children or without children, frankly, regardless if they're wealthy or not, they just may simply want to sort of clarify the financial rights and responsibilities during marriage. How about avoiding arguments in case there's a divorce? Couples, you know, they may want to, avoid potential arguments if they ever do get divorced, and they do that by specifying in advance how the property will be divided and whether or not either spouse will get alimony. And then getting protection from debts of the other spouse. Prenups can be used to protect spouses from each other's debts. Now, if you don't make a prenup, then the state of Florida will determine who owns property that you acquired during the marriage, as well as what happens to that property at divorce or at death. And property acquired during the marriage is known as marital property, sometimes community property, depending on your state. Here, that would be marital property in Florida. State law may even have a say as to what happens to some of that property that you own before you were married, okay, whether it's sort of treated as yours or shared. Now, under the law, marriage is considered to be a contract, again, between a marrying couple, and with that contract comes certain automatic property rights for each spouse. So, for example, in sort of the absence of a prenup that states otherwise, a spouse usually has the right to, let's say, share ownership of property acquired during the marriage, with the expectation that the property will be divided between the spouses in the event of divorce or death. Incur debts during marriage that the other spouse may have to pay for, and then spouses usually have a right to share in the management and control of any marital or community property, sometimes including the right to sell it or give it away. So if these laws, called marital property laws or divorce laws or probate laws, if they aren't to your liking, then it might be time to think about getting a prenup, which again lets you decide for yourselves how your property should be handled. So how do you go about making a valid prenup? Well, as they become more common, the law is becoming friendlier toward them. And traditionally, courts sort of closely scrutinized, if you will, prenups with a very careful and suspicious eye, because they almost wanted to sort of nullify it, because almost always these prenups would involve a waiver of legal and financial benefits by a less wealthy spouse in favor of a more wealthy spouse, and so they were thought to encourage breakups. But as divorce and remarriage became more prevalent, and with more sort of equality between men and women, courts and legislatures are increasingly willing to uphold premarital or prenuptial agreements. A prenup that is judged to be unfair, or otherwise, let's say, fails to meet the state requirements, well, that could be set aside. Now, having said that, courts still do look carefully and closely at prenup, so it's important that you negotiate and write up an agreement in a way that's clear, understandable, and legally sound. And we highly recommend that each spouse get a separate lawyer to review it and to be advised on it. And because if each spouse does not have a separate lawyer, a court may be more likely to question its validity. Okay? So if you'd like to know a little bit more about premarital agreement, prenuptial agreements, who needs one and how to make one, and perhaps you want to know how we can help, we'd love to talk to you. So we encourage you, we invite you to schedule a 15-minute phone call. That's the increment we use. We call it our discovery phone call. It's free, and you can basically tell us what your concerns are, and we can tell you if we can help you. Scheduling it could not be made any easier. Just go to our website, legacyplanninglawgroup.com. Select it's a blue button that says book your free call. Click on that, takes you to our booking calendar. Just pick the day and time that works for you. So if you've enjoyed this video, I'd ask that you like it, better yet share it with your friends. So I hope you've enjoyed this talk about prenuptial agreements. I'm going to give another talk next Thursday at about this same time. And so if you're thirsty for knowledge, you have come to the right place. So on behalf of everybody here at my office, Team Legacy, signing off for now, Bill O'Leary. Go make it a great day and a better world.